The champagne glass slipped from Maya Bennett's hand, shattering against the marble floor of the penthouse bathroom. Her phone screen glowed in the dim light, displaying a text message that made her blood turn to ice. Can't wait for tonight. Your fiancé has no idea what we've been doing behind her back. You're mine now. Scarlett. The message wasn't sent to her. It was sent to James. Her James, the man she was supposed to marry in exactly 7 days. Her hands trembled as she scrolled up, finding months of messages she'd never seen before. Photos. Videos. Promises of forever that mirrored the exact words he'd whispered to her countless times. Maya? You okay in there? James's voice called from the bedroom, smooth and concerned, completely oblivious to the fact that his entire world was about to burn. She stared at her reflection in the mirror. Designer dress worth 3 months of her old salary, diamond earrings he'd given her for their anniversary. Her face, carefully made up for the engagement party downstairs where 200 guests waited to celebrate their love story. A love story that was apparently fiction. Welcome to Heartfire Obsession. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. The perfect lie 6 hours earlier, Maya had been the happiest woman alive. She'd spent the morning at the venue, overseeing the final details of their wedding, white roses imported from Ecuador, a 10-tier cake that cost more than her first car, and a guest list that read like a Fortune 500 directory. James Sterling wasn't just wealthy, he was Manhattan royalty, and somehow, miraculously, he'd chosen her, a small-town girl who'd worked her way up from nothing. Their love story had been featured in 3 magazines: The Billionaire and the Self-Made Marketing Executive, Beauty and the Beast, except both were beautiful, and there was no curse to break. Or so she thought. Maya? James knocked softly. Everyone's asking for you. My mother is getting that look she gets when things aren't going according to plan. His mother. Catherine Sterling, the woman who'd made it clear from day one that Maya wasn't good enough for her son. Who'd investigated her background, questioned her motives, and made snide comments about fortune hunters at every family dinner. Maya took a deep breath, smoothing down her dress. She slipped the phone into her clutch and opened the door, her smile perfect and empty. James stood there in his custom Tom Ford suit, looking like every woman's fantasy. Dark hair slightly tousled, gray eyes that had once made her feel like the only person in the world. Now those same eyes made her sick. You look pale, he said, genuine concern crossing his features. Are you feeling all right? The audacity of it. The sheer, breathtaking audacity of this man to stand here, playing the devoted fiancé while he'd been sleeping with her best friend. The woman in red Scarlett Rivera. They'd met in college, bonded over terrible cafeteria food and impossible deadlines. She'd been maid of honor at Maya's side through every wedding planning session. She'd held Maya when she cried over Catherine's cruelty. She'd assured her that James was different, that their love was real. And all the while, she'd been in his bed. Maya followed James down the hallway, her mind racing. The smart thing would be to leave, walk out right now, never look back. But Maya Bennett hadn't built a career in marketing by making predictable choices. She'd built it by understanding people, by knowing exactly which buttons to push, by turning weakness into opportunity. If they wanted to destroy her, she'd let them think they had. And then she'd take everything. The engagement party was in full swing. Crystal chandeliers cast dancing light across designer gowns and expensive suits. Champagne flowed, laughter echoed off the high ceilings, and there, in the center of it all, stood Scarlett. She wore red, blood red, a dress that clung to every curve. Her dark hair cascaded over bare shoulders, and her smile was radiant as she chatted with James's business partners. When she saw Maya, something flickered in her eyes. Guilt? Triumph? It was hard to tell. There's the bride-to-be. Scarlett glided over, pulling Maya into a hug that felt like a knife between the ribs. She smelled like James's cologne. The realization hit Maya like a physical blow. You smell amazing, Maya said sweetly, pulling back to look Scarlett in the eyes. New perfume? Scarlett's smile faltered for just a fraction of a second. Something like that. The mother-in-law's game Catherine Sterling materialized beside them, her surgically enhanced face arranged in what passed for a smile. Maya, darling, I need to borrow you for a moment. There's someone I want you to meet. It wasn't a request. Catherine's perfectly manicured hand gripped Maya's elbow, steering her away from Scarlett and toward a corner where an older gentleman waited. He had the look of old money, the kind that came from generations of wealth, not mere decades. This is Richard Whitmore, Catherine said. He's a very old friend of the family. Richard, this is Maya, James's fiancé. The way she said fiancé made it sound like a terminal diagnosis. Richard extended his hand, his assessment clinical and cold. Pleasure. Catherine tells me you work in marketing. How? Entrepreneurial. I run the marketing division at Sterling Enterprises, Maya corrected smoothly. James recruited me personally 3 years ago. My campaigns have increased company revenue by 47%. Catherine's smile tightened. Yes, well, marriage and business are very different things, aren't they? One requires certain breeding. Maya felt the rage building in her chest, hot and dangerous. This woman had never accepted her, had never seen her as anything more than a gold digger. And now her son was proving her right by betraying Maya with her best friend. You're absolutely right, Maya said, her voice honey-sweet. Marriage requires trust, loyalty, things that can't be bought with money or breeding. James taught me that. Catherine's eyes narrowed. She knew she was being mocked but couldn't quite prove it. The final straw, an hour later, Maya stood on the balcony, champagne glass in hand, watching the city lights blur through unshed tears. She'd played her part perfectly all evening. Smiled, laughed, thanked guests for their generous gifts, pretended her heart wasn't bleeding out inside her chest. There you are. James's arms wrapped around her from behind, his chin resting on her shoulder. I've been looking for you. Have you? Maya's voice was flat. Are you sure you're okay? You've seemed off all night. She turned in his arms, looking up at the man she'd planned to spend her life with. James, do you love me? What kind of question is that? He laughed, but something uncertain flickered in his eyes. Of course I love you. I'm marrying you in a week. Why? Why what? Why are you marrying me? Really? James's expression shifted, confusion giving way to something darker. Where is this coming from? Maya pulled his phone from her clutch. She'd lifted it from his jacket pocket an hour ago, a skill learned from a misspent youth. She unlocked it with his passcode, her birthday. The irony wasn't lost on her, and pulled up the messages. Want to try that answer again? James's face went white. Then red. Then white again. His mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. Maya, save it. She dropped the phone over the balcony railing. They both watched it fall 20 stories, disappearing into the Manhattan night. I have a question for you, James. And I want you to think very carefully before you answer. He stared at her, genuine fear dawning in those gray eyes. How badly? Maya asked, her voice soft and deadly. Do you want to keep everything you've built? Because I have your passwords, your files, every illegal business deal, every bribed official, every tax evasion scheme. 3 years of working beside you means I know where all the bodies are buried, metaphorically and literally. James's expression transformed. The mask of the loving fiancé cracked completely, revealing something cold and calculating underneath. You're threatening me? I'm giving you a choice. Maya smiled, and it was not a kind smile. You can marry me as planned, play the devoted husband, give me everything I want, or I can destroy you so completely that she never finished the sentence, because that's when Scarlett screamed from inside the penthouse, and everything went to hell. What has Scarlett discovered? And why does Maya's smile widen at the sound of chaos? The revenge is only beginning. Heartbreak and revenge, the setup, revealed the scream cut through the elegant party like a blade through silk. Guests rushed toward the source, James's study. Maya didn't run. She walked, slowly, deliberately, her heels clicking against marble with the rhythm of a countdown. Inside the study, Scarlett stood frozen, her red dress now seeming less like a fashion choice and more like a warning. In her hands was a manila folder. Photos spilled across James's mahogany desk, photos of her and James in compromising positions. But these weren't the intimate stolen moments of secret lovers. These were staged, professional, with timestamps and locations that told a very different story. What the hell is this? Scarlett's voice shook, mascara beginning to streak down her cheeks. She looked up as Maya entered, confusion and horror warring on her face. Maya, I swear I didn't. Didn't what? Maya interrupted, her voice calm as a frozen lake. Didn't sleep with my fiancé? Didn't send those texts? Didn't wear his cologne tonight like some kind of twisted trophy? You don't understand. Scarlett's hands trembled. He told me you two were over. He said the engagement was just for show, that his mother insisted. But he loved me. He promised you everything, Maya finished, the same way he promised me, the same way he's probably promised a dozen other women. She picked up one of the photos. But did he promise you'd end up framed for corporate espionage? The room went silent. James stood in the doorway, his face unreadable. The truth unravels. Catherine Sterling pushed past her son, her eyes scanning the photos with growing horror. James, what is the meaning of this? Maya selected another photo from the pile, this one showing Scarlett at James's laptop, clearly accessing confidential files. Your son is very clever, Catherine. He seduced my best friend, made her fall in love with him, then positioned her to take the fall for the largest corporate data theft in Sterling Enterprises history. That's insane. Scarlett grabbed Maya's arm. I never touched his computer. Those photos are fake. Are they? Maya turned to James, eyebrow raised. Tell her, James. Tell her about the leverage you needed. Tell her how you've been siphoning millions from the company, and you needed someone to blame when the auditors finally caught on. James's expression remained neutral, but his mother's face told a different story. Catherine's world was crumbling in real time. The auditors, Catherine whispered. They start the review next month. James, tell me this isn't true. Mother, don't be ridiculous. James straightened his tie, his voice smooth despite the chaos. Maya is obviously having some kind of breakdown. The stress of the wedding, the stress of discovering my fiancé is both a cheater and a thief. Maya pulled out a flash drive from her clutch. This contains every transaction, every falsified document, every offshore account. 3 years of evidence, James. You really should have been more careful about what you discussed in front of me. The best friend's betrayal. Scarlett sank into a chair, her face crumbling. Maya, please, you have to believe me. I thought he loved me. I thought, her voice broke. I thought I was special. For a moment, just a moment, Maya felt a flicker of sympathy. She knew that feeling, the intoxication of being chosen by James Sterling. The way he made you feel like the center of the universe while systematically destroying you. You were never special to him, Scarlett. None of us were. We were tools. Maya crouched beside her former friend. But here's the thing. I actually do believe you didn't know about the corporate espionage. You're terrible at lying. Always have been. Scarlett looked up, hope flickering through her tears. Then, you'll help me? You'll tell them I didn't do this? Maya's expression hardened. No. You still slept with my fiancé. You still betrayed 13 years of friendship. You don't get to walk away clean just because you were also a victim. Maya, please. You made your choice when you sent that text. Maya stood, brushing imaginary dust from her designer dress. Every choice has consequences. You're about to learn yours. The mother's revelation. Catherine moved with surprising speed, slapping her son across the face with a crack that echoed through the study. The assembled guests gasped. No one had ever seen the Ice Queen lose control. You stupid, arrogant boy, Catherine hissed. Everything I built. Everything your father built. You were going to throw it all away for what? Some girl? Some petty theft scheme? It wasn't petty, James said coldly, rubbing his cheek. It was $200 million. And I would have gotten away with it if she, he pointed at Maya, hadn't stuck her nose where it didn't belong. Where it didn't belong? Maya laughed, but there was no humor in it. I was your fiancé. I was supposed to be your partner. I trusted you, and I was supposed to marry a woman my mother approved of, James shot back. Not some nobody from nowhere who happened to be good at her job. The mask was fully off now. This was the real James Sterling, entitled, cruel, and utterly convinced of his own superiority. Catherine stared at her son as if seeing him for the first time. Your father would be ashamed. My father was weak, James spat, just like you, building an empire through patience and reputation. I was going to show you both how real power works. The trap springs Maya's smile could have frozen hell, is that so? Then I suppose you'll enjoy federal prison. It's where true power players end up, isn't it? She nodded toward the door. 2 FBI agents stood there, badges displayed. James Sterling, one of them said, you're under arrest for wire fraud, money laundering, and corporate espionage. The room erupted. Guests backed away. Catherine collapsed into a chair. Scarlett's sobs became hysterical, and James just stared at Maya with pure, undiluted hatred. You set me up, he said quietly as the agents moved toward him. All of this. The phone in the bathroom. The convenient timing. You knew I'd crack. I suspected you were a thief the moment I found those first discrepancies 6 months ago, Maya admitted. I confirmed it 3 months ago. And I've been building the case ever since. The affair with Scarlett? That was just the catalyst I needed to make sure you'd reveal yourself completely. You manipulated everything, James breathed. No, Maya's voice dropped to a whisper as the agents handcuffed him. You manipulated everything. I just made sure you'd face the consequences. The unexpected ally after James was led away, after the guests fled, after the penthouse emptied of everyone except Maya and Catherine, the older woman spoke. You planned all of this. It wasn't a question. Not all of it, Maya said honestly. I didn't plan to fall in love with him. I didn't plan for my best friend to betray me. Those were genuine surprises. Catherine studied her with something approaching respect. But you adapted. Quite brilliantly. Your son taught me that business requires ruthlessness. Maya picked up her clutch. He just didn't realize I was a better student than he was a teacher. The company will survive this scandal? Catherine asked, vulnerability showing through her perfect facade for the first time. Maya paused at the door. That depends on whether you're willing to accept help from a nobody from nowhere. Catherine's laugh was bitter but genuine. Sit down, Maya. I think we need to discuss the future of Sterling Enterprises, and possibly your role in it. The sweet aftermath 2 weeks later, Maya sat in the CEO's office, formerly James's office, reviewing the restructuring plans. Catherine had offered her a partnership, 50-50 control of Sterling Enterprises in exchange for her silence about Catherine's knowledge of certain questionable practices over the years. It wasn't what Maya had originally wanted. She'd wanted love, marriage, partnership with someone who valued her. Instead, she had power. Real, tangible power in one of the most influential companies in Manhattan. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I hope you're happy. You destroyed my life. Scarlett. Maya deleted it without responding. Scarlett was facing charges as an accessory to fraud, lighter than what James faced, but enough to ruin her career and reputation. Maya felt no guilt. Some bridges needed to burn. Another message appeared, this one from her lawyer, James Sterling, sentenced to 15 years. Prosecution accepted plea deal. Thought you'd want to know. 15 years. Maya leaned back in her leather chair, looking out at the Manhattan skyline. In 15 years, she'd be 43. James would be 48. And she'd have built something far more valuable than the life he'd tried to give her. She'd built something he could never take away. The final warning that evening, Maya returned to her new penthouse, purchased with her first bonus as partner of Sterling Enterprises. As she poured herself a glass of wine, her doorbell rang. Through the peephole, she saw Scarlett. Against her better judgment, Maya opened the door. Scarlett looked terrible, hollow-eyed, thin, wearing clothes that hung on her frame. I need to talk to you. There's nothing to say. Please, Maya. 5 minutes. That's all I ask. Maya stepped aside, letting her in. Scarlett walked to the window, staring out at the same view Maya had been admiring. I'm sorry, Scarlett said finally. I know that doesn't fix anything. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I need you to know that I really am sorry. For all of it. Maya said nothing. He showed me messages, Scarlett continued, her voice breaking. He showed me messages where you talked about leaving him, about how the engagement was a mistake. He made me believe you didn't want him anymore, that I was saving him from a loveless marriage, and you believed him because you wanted to. Scarlett nodded. I've loved him since you first brought him to our apartment. 3 years of watching you two together, being the supportive friend while dying inside. When he finally noticed me, finally chose me, I didn't question it. I should have. I should have known it was too perfect. You should have, Maya agreed coldly. Scarlett turned to face her. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking you to understand that we were both his victims. He used us both, just in different ways. The difference, Maya said softly, is that I won. And you lost everything. Scarlett's face crumpled. I know. I just wanted you to know that your friendship meant everything to me. Even if I destroyed it. She walked to the door, pausing before she left. Watch your back, Maya. James has friends. Powerful friends who don't appreciate what you did. This isn't over. The door closed behind her, and Maya was alone again. She walked to her desk, pulling out a locked drawer. Inside were files, insurance policies Catherine didn't know about, evidence of crimes that went far beyond what James had been charged with, connections to people who made James look like a small-time criminal. Scarlett was right about one thing. This wasn't over. But Maya Bennett had learned that in the game of revenge, you don't just plan for the first move. You plan for every move after it. As Maya consolidates her power, new threats emerge from unexpected places. And the question remains, how far will she go to protect what she's built? The final chapter awaits. The ultimate payback. The ghost returned 6 months after James's sentencing. Maya had transformed Sterling Enterprises into something unrecognizable from its corrupt origins. Revenue was up 48%. Employee satisfaction had tripled. The board of directors, initially skeptical of Catherine's decision to partner with her son's ex-fiancé, now treated Maya with wary respect. She was in a meeting with international investors when her assistant interrupted, something she'd explicitly forbidden unless it was an emergency. Miss Bennett, I'm sorry, but there's someone here who insists on seeing you immediately. He says it's about James. Maya's blood went cold. Who is it? He wouldn't give his name. But he knew details about your personal life that made security hesitate to remove him. Maya excused herself, her mind racing through possibilities. James was in federal prison. Scarlett had moved to California, trying to rebuild her life under a new name. Catherine was in Tokyo on business. Who else from that disaster could possibly? The man waiting in her office made her stop in the doorway. He was tall, silver-haired, with the kind of face that aged into distinguished rather than old. Designer suit, confident posture, and eyes that reminded her disturbingly of James. Maya Bennett, he said, his voice smooth as aged whiskey. Finally, we meet. I'm Daniel Sterling, James's uncle. The family secret. Maya had heard whispers about Daniel Sterling, the black sheep of the family, the brilliant businessman who'd been exiled after some unnamed scandal before James was born. Catherine never spoke of him, and company records had been carefully scrubbed of his existence. I didn't know James had an uncle, Maya said carefully, not sitting down. Catherine would prefer it stayed that way. Daniel moved to her desk, picking up a photograph of Maya receiving an industry award. But I've been watching you, Maya, ever since you destroyed my nephew's life. He destroyed his own life. Did he? Daniel set down the photograph. Or did he simply get caught doing what everyone in this family has been doing for generations? Maya's hand moved subtly toward the panic button under her desk. Oh, don't worry, Daniel said, noticing the gesture. I'm not here to hurt you. Quite the opposite. I'm here to offer you something Catherine will never give you. And what's that? The truth about Sterling Enterprises, about your precious partner, about what you've really inherited. The rotten foundation Daniel pulled out a tablet, sliding it across the desk. Maya looked down at financial documents that made James's crimes look like petty theft. Catherine Sterling didn't build this empire through patience and reputation, Daniel said. She built it through blackmail, bribery, and occasionally murder. My brother, her husband, found out about it. That's the real reason he died in that car accident 20 years ago. Maya's hands shook as she scrolled through evidence. Offshore accounts, shell companies, photographs of people she recognized, senators, judges, CEOs, in compromising positions. You're lying. Am I? Then explain the recurring payments to Senator Whitmore, the same Senator Whitmore who killed the investigation into Sterling Enterprises government contracts last year. The same man Catherine introduced you to at your engagement party. Maya remembered that night. Catherine's strange intensity, the senator's cold assessment of her. Why are you telling me this? Daniel's smile was predatory. Because, Maya, you're not the player you think you are. You're the pawn. Catherine knew about James's theft for months before you discovered it. She let it happen, let you build your case, let you destroy her own son. That's impossible. Is it? Think about it. How did the FBI show up at exactly the right moment? How did they have a warrant already prepared? How did everything fall so perfectly into place? Maya's mind raced back through those final days. The convenience of it all, the way Catherine had accepted her partnership so easily, the lack of real resistance from the board. She used me, Maya whispered. She's using you, Daniel corrected. James was always going to be a liability. Catherine needed someone smart enough to expose him, but naive enough not to ask too many questions. You were perfect. The impossible choice. Maya's phone rang. Catherine's number. Don't answer it yet, Daniel said. First, I want you to consider a proposition. Join me. I have enough evidence to destroy Catherine and take control of Sterling Enterprises. With your reputation as the woman who saved the company, we'd be unstoppable. Why would I trust you? Maya demanded. You could be lying about all of this. This could be some elaborate revenge scheme against your sister-in-law. It absolutely is a revenge scheme, Daniel admitted cheerfully. But that doesn't make it less true. Catherine Sterling is a monster who devoured her own son to protect her empire. And she'll devour you too when you stop being useful. The phone rang again. Here's what I know about you, Maya, Daniel continued. You're smart. You're ruthless when necessary. And you hate being used. Catherine used you to destroy James. I'm offering you the chance to return the favor. Or, he stood, moving toward the door. You can answer that phone, pretend this conversation never happened, and wait for the day Catherine decides you're more trouble than you're worth. He left his card on the desk. Call me when you're ready to stop being someone else's weapon and become the warrior instead. The door closed behind him. The phone stopped ringing, and Maya sat in the silence, staring at evidence that either revealed the truth or proved she'd become so paranoid she couldn't trust her own judgment anymore. The partner's truth. When Catherine returned from Tokyo, she called Maya to dinner at her estate. The Sterling mansion was a monument to old money, portraits of ancestors who'd probably made their fortunes through equally dubious means, furniture that cost more than most people's houses, and a dining room that could seat 30 but somehow felt intimate with just 2. You've been quiet lately, Catherine observed, cutting her fillet with surgical precision. Something troubling you? Maya studied the woman who'd become her mentor and partner. Catherine's face revealed nothing, as always. I received an interesting visit while you were gone. Oh? Your brother-in-law. Catherine's knife stopped mid-cut. For just a moment, genuine surprise flickered across her face. Daniel came to see you. He made some fascinating accusations. I'm sure he did. Catherine set down her silverware, her composure returning. Daniel is brilliant, charming, and completely amoral. He's also pathologically obsessed with destroying me, has been since I refused to let him corrupt my company the way he corrupted his own. So his accusations are false? I didn't say that. Catherine met Maya's eyes directly. I said he's obsessed with destroying me. The truth, as always, is more complicated than either version you've been told. The whole truth. Catherine poured them both wine, expensive enough that Maya couldn't help but calculate the cost per sip. My husband discovered that Daniel was using Sterling Enterprises to launder money for some very dangerous people, Catherine began. When he threatened to go to the authorities, Daniel made it clear that my husband would be implicated too, that our sons, we had two then, though you never knew about the eldest, would lose everything. What happened? Maya asked quietly. My husband chose to die rather than compromise. He drove his car off a cliff, made it look like an accident, left me with enough evidence to exile Daniel, but not enough to destroy him completely. Catherine's voice remained steady, but something flickered in her eyes. My eldest son, Christopher, couldn't handle the truth. He took his own life 3 years later. James never knew any of this. Maya absorbed this, her mind reeling. So everything Daniel showed me is probably true, Catherine admitted. I've done terrible things to protect this company, to protect what my husband died for, to make sure Christopher's death meant something, to save James from following his brother into the grave. But you destroyed James anyway. Catherine's laugh was bitter. I tried to save him. I warned him 100 times, taught him the right way to be ruthless, the legal ways to be powerful. But he had Daniel's blood in him. He thought he was smarter than everyone else. So yes, when he refused to stop, when you came to me with evidence of his crimes, I chose the company over my son. You used me. I gave you justice, Catherine corrected, and power, and everything you claimed to want. If being used toward your own goals feels like manipulation, perhaps the problem isn't me. The final revelation. Maya stood, walking to the window that overlooked the Sterling estate, acres of manicured gardens, a fountain that probably cost more than her childhood home, the physical manifestation of generations of corruption dressed in respectability. What would you do? Maya asked. If you were me, if you had evidence that could destroy your partner, if you had an ally offering power through betrayal. I'd ask myself what I actually want, Catherine said. Revenge? You already have that. James is in prison. Scarlett is ruined. I'm offering you legitimate power. So what do you really want, Maya? Maya turned to face her. I want to not be a pawn anymore. Then stop acting like one. Catherine's voice sharpened. You're holding Daniel's evidence like it's a trump card. Play it or throw it away. But standing paralyzed between two choices isn't strength, it's fear. And if I play it against you, then you'd better be certain you can survive what comes after, Catherine said simply. Because Daniel Sterling doesn't want a partner. He wants a puppet, and at least I've always been honest about what I am. The power play. Maya made her decision 3 days later. She called a board meeting, unauthorized, unexpected, and with an agenda she didn't share in advance. Catherine attended, her expression unreadable. Daniel showed up uninvited, taking a seat with a confident smile. Members of the board, Maya began. I've called you here to discuss the future of Sterling Enterprises. Specifically, whether that future should include Catherine Sterling.